So as you have just completed your internship in PwC, so I would request you to tell that what PwC is all about, or how does this company work. So can you please share your insights?
Should I go first?
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
sure.
Yeah. Thank you, Shelly and Priyanshu. That was quite a heavyweight introduction. I don't know if we both deserved all those kind words. Talking about PwC India, I think most of you already know that PwC is itself a consultancy firm. So, if I have to explain what consultancy is in very layman's terms to everyone who's present in this meeting, I would have to say like a consultant is like what a doctor is in corporate. You come to a consultant with problems, and he's the one who gives you solutions. As simple as that. So PwC is one of the big four consultancy firms that we have here in India, and they have got different lines of services. The advisory being the most prominent one among them. And in the advisory line of service, they have got this different consulting services consisting of technology consulting, management consulting, and other such services as well. So both me and ARNAB were a part of, we were the summer interns at PwC India, and we both worked in the technology consulting domain. And basically, we had to work with a lot of data analytics tools, and that was pretty much about what we had to do there at PwC. I think ARNAB can add in anything if he wishes to.
Yeah, the consulting division of PwC is very different from the MBB's consulting division. We basically deal. What we did is technology part of the consulting. So we build the basically the back end of any solution that you see of a consulting normal consulting problem. So yeah, we were involved more with the technology part behind problem solving, and yeah, and we're here in this session to discuss about that.
Okay, so we have got an idea about what PwC is all about. So I'd like to ask that how did you prepare yourself as a whole for this company? Any of you can start first.
So I definitely did not know about this company much before it came to Jadavpur University. So I think before a week from the test, I started preparing for this. I started doing aptitude with the tough ones because I was aware that like PwC is not going to test us on our mechanical knowledge. So it's going to be only aptitude, and they're going to judge heavily on that. So I started doing some difficult aptitude problems. Difficult in the sense relatively to the other companies, the aptitude of PwC or JS is going to be difficult. So yeah, that's it. I started preparing aptitude, and I knew that they are going to drill on the CV part. So I made sure that I had every point of the CV in my fingertips. Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, I think Gorno very well summarized the preparation process of like for being an intern at PwC. I think there are two different aspects to it. One is the profile building part, and the other one is like the preparation part for the examination. Like if I have to talk specifically about the examination, it's only the aptitude examination that takes place, and on the basis of that, now I can't separate these two questions. Like if you are asking me separately about the preparation or the process, so like there are two different like the first examination that you have for the PwC recruitment process, the Haptic examination. So you need to be well versed with it, you need to be well prepared for it, so you need to practice a lot of Haptic questions for that. Haptic, I mean, in different domains, it's not only about the quantitative questions that you need to prepare for PwC India. You need to be very well versed with the LR questions, the logical reasoning questions. Of course, I know there are a lot of CAT aspirants amongst us today, and PwC India Haptic questions aren't of the level of CAT, but I always believe that if you're doing something of a little higher standard than what you're supposed to do, it always helps you in the one that's a little lower grade, lower standard than that. So if you're already practicing something of the CAT standard thing, I think PwC apti would be a very easy walk for you. But having said that, PwC apti, as ARNAB rightly pointed out, is a very different kind of an examination, both for PwC and ZS Associates. I would say it's very different from the kind of apti questions that you get in a regular recruitment process. So they do test, the main thing that they do test is how well versed are these logical reasoning questions of the short paragraphs, how well you can form your solutions out of those within a very very short period of time. So that is all about the apti part. And coming to the profile building part, my preparation for PwC was a little different because I wasn't very sure if I wanted to go for that company initially, because I had a lot of misconceptions about the particular firm. But later on, having cleared all of those misconceptions from my seniors, I got to know that it's like a pretty good place to be in, to be an intern at, and to start your career for that matter of fact. So after like the aptitude examination, I think we got about 2 days of break in it between, and after that our results of the aptitude were declared. And I think based on both our aptitude as well as the CV which we had submitted, based on both of those, a few of us had been shortlisted who were allowed to sit for the final interview process. For interns, we have only one such interview process, like only one round of interview. For the FTs, it's a little bit different. So yeah, so as Arnab rightly pointed out, for the profile building part, I think you need to have a very holistic kind of a profile. I think consultancy in itself, like any of us who's trying to get into consultancy as a fresher out of engineering college or out of the mechanical engineering department, we need to be, we need to understand this fact very well, that from whatever we are doing at the department or from whatever skill sets we possess right at the moment, I don't think we are very, very, treasurable or very, very precious to any consultancy firm at this point in time. So what you need to do is you need to form a very, all encompassing and a very holistic, CV for that matter of fact, that should consist of a lot of things other than your academic achievements. You should have a lot of extracurriculars to talk about. Extracurriculars does not necessarily mean, your involvement in sports, in, other cultural events. They can be about any case study competition, any B-plan competition that you might have won. And you need to be, be participating in a lot of this, college events. You need to be a part, you need to hold a number of positions of responsibility, and of course you need to be very, very well prepared or well versed with whatever projects you have done, no matter if it's a mechanical project or if it's a non-mechanical project. I think you need to be at a proper position where you can elucidate and you can justify whatever you have done for the past 2 years before you are coming to sit for this company. So if that part being done, I think you are in a pretty good position to sit for PwC as an intern.
Well, that was quite helpful regarding your CV building part as well. So I'd request Arnab that to, if you have something to add on to the
Yeah,
CV
sure.
building part.
There are two kinds of people who will be going to this interview whenever you go. One who is well versed with anything merely related to data, and one is not merely related to data. One is mechanical engineering, or maybe consulting, or maybe someone who is well versed with data science and machine learning. So there are two kinds of suggestions that I would like to give to two people. One is one who is well versed with data science or consultant or anything related to analytics. They don't have to worry that much because PwC is looking for them, but they're not also rejecting the candidates who are completely ignorant of the fact that there's something called analytics existing in this world. If you see the FTE selections last year, there were many people who were not related to management consulting or any kind of consulting. So whatever you do in your whole college life, make sure that you do that properly and honestly, and also participate in some events that you think could be important, could be different from what you're doing in engineering at all. Let's say you're participating in some competitions, case studies, or anything related to coding or data. So they want to have candidates who are ready to learn quickly because they know that they do not know what to learn. Because whatever you do, it might be different that you'll what you're doing in PwC. Because maybe you're learning data science here and you're doing software development in PwC. So they want to make sure that whatever you do in engineering, you do it properly and with full honesty. If you don't know whatever, if a mechanical engineering candidate completely core guy goes to an interview, they ask core questions. They ask me core questions too because they wanted to test how I did well in my mechanical engineering part. So yeah, that's it. So don't have to worry about the fact that you're not started early in your engineering life because of on the data science or consulting part, but you have to do it honestly and thoroughly.
I think a major takeaway from what Arnav just said right now is that you need to be a very quick learner. So if you are someone who's like a quick learner, and another important point that you addressed is, I think this is my key takeaway from the entire recruitment process of PwC India at Jadavpur University, or for that matter of fact, any engineering college. I think they're looking for people who do anything with sort of unflinching dedication and devotion. If you are that kind of a candidate, they are here to hire you. As simple as that. And as Arnav rightly pointed out, I don't think it's just PwC. For that matter of fact, any company, even if it's a core company or a consultancy or non-core company, I don't think any of us here at the third year or fourth year of our undergraduate studies know very well what exactly we have to do in a company, right? So a lot of us might be having a lot of apprehensions that, okay, if I get put in this company, I might be put into this particular role in this particular job profile, and I might have this XYZ things to do. But reality is often very different from that. Like you might expect ABC things to be doing when you're in a corporate scenario, and you might be doing XYZ. So it's very different. So you can't actually prepare yourself in that way that, okay, if I have exactly this, skill sets to be, be fitting in that bracket, then only I'll be getting selected in that company. It doesn't really work like that. So you might be doing a lot of mechanical projects in your undergraduate life in your first year and second year and third year. You might be involved in a lot of things that aren't actually fitting in that bracket of data analytics. But as long as you're doing that honestly, and as I already said, like when I was speaking about your profile building, that as long as you can defend and you justify it properly, I think that does more than 70% of the job. Because the PwC recruitment process I talked about, the one interview round that you have, it's all in all about your CV defending part, and maybe a little bit of some other things, like as Arnav talked about, that they'll be asking you a few core questions, not very complicated or nothing very in-depth kind of a thing, but very simple core questions, just to test your knowledge and just to be on the same page with the fact that you haven't actually wasted your 2 years of your undergraduate studies. If you just get into your interview, and if you just some of them, some of my juniors have already asked me this question, that what if I just get into the interview and I tell the interviewer that I'm not interested in code? If I just directly address this, I would say that that doesn't put a really good impression. You're just putting that impression in front of the interview that you have completely wasted 2 years of your undergraduate studies, and you're kind of flaunting that fact in front of him. So that doesn't put a good impression at all. You might be doing, you might be involved in all sorts of core activities. Like I know a senior very personally who's currently working in PwC, batch of 2022 from our department only, whose CV consisted of only and only research projects and papers published and everything that will belong to the world or the domain of mechanical engineering. And now he's at Pwc India doing all sorts of data analytics things, dealing with tools like Alteryx and whatnot. So it's a very different kind of thing. So they are not actually looking for people who will actually fit in that perfect bracket. So you don't really have anything like that. Or you have to show them that whatever work is given to you, you can learn quickly, you can adapt quickly, and you'll be able to do that within a deadline, very judiciously and very honestly. That impression being laid, I think it's very easy for you to get into PwC after the interview round.
Well, that was quite insightful in this regard. So next, I would like to ask you that what are the resources that you followed regarding the aptitudes? You have said that there is one aptitude round and one profile building, that is the letter interview round. So what are the resources one should follow for these aptitudes?
See, the most common resource I think that all of you must be knowing is the IndiaWix website, right? Like every other guy almost in Jadavpur University, from the seniors, they get to know that IndiaWix is this one particular website where you have got quantitative questions and logical reasoning questions and data interpretation questions of all sorts and all genres and all types. And like a lot of you target to, complete that within, let's say if PwC is coming in end August or the beginning of September. So you just set a deadline that within the next 1 month or so, I'm going to complete everything that's on the website, and that will just help me get through, PwC. It doesn't always get that, it isn't that way always. So IndiaWix is undoubtedly a very good website to go for when it comes to aptitude. But I feel PwC aptitude is a little different from what you have in IndiaWix. I feel the quants questions that were there during our time, if I remember correctly, we had a total of, I think, 45 to 50, almost 45. Yeah, so out of which I can vouch that almost 20 questions were from the quants portion, and each one of those being, very, very standard questions. I'll have to say this, like pretty standard questions. Even the ones that were regarding the ratio and proportion things and basic, geometry questions like curved surface area of a cone and all of that stuff, they were either very, calculation wise very lengthy, or they were like they needed some sort of concept or the other from your end. So I would first request you all to be very, very clear with the concepts when it comes to constant kind of questions. And the logical reasoning kind of questions, like by logical reasoning kind of questions, I mean the questions that were there during our, PwC recruitment in the aptitude round. They were very short paragraphs, but they needed you to read that paragraph within a very short period of time and answer the next 3 to 4 questions out of those. They weren't as lengthy as the ones that you find maybe in a CAT question or in any standard B school entrance paper for that matter of fact, but they were pretty, I would say they needed you to process those questions and come to a solution within a very short period of time. So if you're attempting logical reasoning questions, I would say that you can maybe go for some Arun Sharma or any for that matter of fact CAT book, but they don't really give you questions of that level. But as I started with, like if you're doing something of a little higher level than what you were supposed to do, it always helps you in the long run. I mean, that will just clear your concepts and it will just increase your speed and all of that thing. And for the data interpretation questions, I found that was the part that was actually, very, very easy. They had some very basic, bar graphs and some pie charts. I think 1 or 2 of those only were there. Like I clearly remember we had one question where they had given the scores of 5 students in the 5 different subjects, and we had to find out their average in this particular year or in this particular subject. So those were like pretty easy and pretty straightforward questions for that. So data interpretation will be the easiest round. LR is something that will need you to solve the questions very quickly, and quants is something that will come with practice. If you're well versed with the IndiaBix website, or you can just refer to any source. You've got 101 aptitude sites on the web. You've got so many books. You can just refer to any source. One quick advice that I would like to give you guys is, I'm not very sure whether this year's recruitment process will be an online process or an offline one. In case PwC, I feel they might be going for an online one, but you'll have to check it out from what they're doing in the other colleges, let's say in IT Durgapur or IST Shibpur this year. But in case they're having an online recruitment round, just I think a day or 2 days before, they'll be revealing like on which platform they are going to conduct the particular aptitude process. It's very important, not just for PwC but for every other test that's out there. You'll have to know that for every particular platform there's a particular style of questions that come, and that style is readily available on the internet. If you just, let's say, some XYZ platform, if you're typing on the net that XYZ platform apti questions, you'll get more than 50 to 60 such sample questions there on the net itself, and you can just practice them for a day or two before your final test. Because PwC isn't just sitting and setting those questions, right? They are just hiring one particular platform who's doing it on their behalf, and you're just sitting for that particular test on that particular platform. So once the test links comes to your mail ID, maybe 1 or 2 days before the particular date, you'll need to know that which platform is this year's platform. For example, I talked about a lot of LRDI and all of that stuff. I remember the year before us, I think the batch of 2022, when during their time PwC came for recruitment, I clearly remember our seniors told us that the pattern of questions was very similar to that of GMAT. So they had this series of questions, like 3 figures given one after the other, and you have to guess what the 4th figure is. But during our time, I remember we had no such questions. So the pattern, it varies from year to year because the platform varies from year to year. So you'll have to be well versed with whichever platform they are using to set up the questions, and you'll have to know that what kind of questions are going to come, and maybe practice accordingly. I think a day or two's preparation before the main day will help you with that regard. I think Arnab can add.
Yeah, so exactly. SAGNIK pointed out a very good thing, because everything is not decided. The questions, obviously, they're not going. They are not going to frame the questions. The company doesn't frame questions at all. They're not going to waste resources on that. So they hire somebody. So I think in our time it was HirePro, which was the assessment software, whatever the website. I think this year there are rumors that it's SHL. So I think, yeah. So even if you search in YouTube that HirePro logical reasoning questions, you'll find some guy called MJ or something. They have a playlist for all the HirePro questions. So I actually did that, and I've never touched IndiaBix, and I think the questions of IndiaBix have become obsolete at this point, because every senior ever in every college are suggesting IndiaBix. You search a YouTube video for aptitude, they'll tell IndiaBix only. But what I did is I downloaded Arun Sharma and then did the level 2 questions. I think the questions are not going to be of that level, but it will be between level 1 and level 2. It's not obviously level 3. Even in CAT they won't give levels. So level 2 is, I think, good enough. And yeah, that's it. The platform.
Yeah, it was HirePro.
Yeah,
it was HirePro during our time.
And this time I think they're going to be SHL, and before, I think 2016-17 it was Scope. So if you search the platform, if you prepare according to the platform, I think it would be easy.
Well, that was quite informative in this part.
Just to add, just a minute, Shelly, just to add, like as Arnab rightly pointed out, like IndiaBix is obsolete just for this reason that IndiaBix tries to cater to all genres of apti questions, and like due to that very let's say like it doesn't have a very particular kind of a question that might be coming in for any particular company. So the kind of questions that they have, it isn't the kind of question that you would be finding in PwC, not exactly the type that would be find in ZS, not in Bajaj. So it's like a very generic kind of a question set that you have in IndiaBix. So a generic set helps you form your fundamentals, form your base, but in the long run it doesn't really help. So maybe go for some very specific platforms for that matter.
There are infinite resources on YouTube and Google. Just follow anything. There is no excuse to not do aptitude or logical reasoning. There's no excuse that you say I don't know what platform to practice from.
No matter if you are sitting for CAT or not, I think Arun Sharma is going to help you always. So you can just pick up Arun Sharma and do whatever suits you. So I think Arun Sharma is and
And
will always be that final,
yeah,
remedy to all
the
such
best
issues.
time to practice Arun Sharma is if you think you're good in aptitude or logical reasoning, because that book will humble you. That book is not something easy to do. That it's a very dangerous book. But I think that if you practice Arun Sharma, I think you can I mean, you can clear any interview or I mean job oriented aptitude exams.
Yeah, quick addition to that. I mean, don't just sit with Arun Sharma the whole
Yes,
day. That
yes,
doesn't
yes,
help you.
yes.
Like if you are just setting a particular time limit for every question, it's only then that Arun Sharma is going to help you. Let's say you pick up a quantitative aptitude wala question and you sit with that for let's say 10 minutes and you solve that and you're like very happy. Okay, I solved it. Trust me, you're not going to get such kind of time or such kind of questions in any aptitude examination. So only if it's like a time bound preparation, it's going to help you. Otherwise, any pick up any book. It can be Arun Sharma, it can be Nishant K. Jain. You can just pick up any book. If it's not a time bound preparation, it's not going to help you in any aptitude round, in the B school preparation, nothing. So that doesn't really help.
All right. Uh, so till now we have already discussed the preparation strategy, what resources one should follow, and what should be about your profile building. So you already have told that PwC is a sector which is a little bit different from our common B curriculum courses of in any engineering college. So I would like to ask you that how did you actually explore your college life, precisely your academic and non-academics, and when did you actually decided that when did you actually realize that your inclination towards this consultancy sector? What
I'll go.
helped
Yeah,
you to
I'll go
understand?
first because I have nothing much to say in this regard. So first year I came here, I was busy making friends uh, because of the language barrier, I was not able to speak Bengali properly. That's it. So I think after that COVID happened, and then COVID was a boon for me because I explored data science and machine learning, and that one thing that I did is going to be helpful for the rest of my life. So that's it. You have to make good friends because I have a friend. Me and him, we used to study mechanical also, but we used to focus more on machine learning. And then we went on doing that for 6 to 7 months of whole COVID. Okay, and we started doing and we never ended. That thing helped in PwC's interview. And yeah, that's it. And regarding some extracurriculars that I did, I only watched anime the whole time. I don't even remember doing anything else. That's it. I mean, now SAGNIK, I think SAGNIK would be able to add better to this.
Yeah, I think PwC or consultancy, for that matter of fact, like was a way of self-discovery for me. Like I remember in 2019 when we all came to Jadavpur University, I was pretty much depressed with this department and with the college. I hated it. I don't. I'm not ashamed of admitting it right now. I hated the college. I hated the department. I hated what I was doing here. I tried to be a good student. I tried to attend all, not all classes. I was a very good bad with attendance and stuff, but I tried to do as many classes as I could. But the thing is, there's a lot of difference between, like, all my friends used to ask me this one question, that how come you're scoring good marks in all of the subjects and you're not really interested in any of this? So I think there's a very big difference between being someone who's taking his or her curriculum seriously and being interested in that curriculum. So I was someone who was just doing it for the sake of marks and stuff, to be very honest. But I never found a lot of joy, and I never was very enthusiastic, or I never liked this curriculum, for that matter of fact. So COVID was this one particular period when I tried to explore a lot of things, and I tried to get into a lot of this competitions and stuff, and try and realize that what exactly do I want to do in the future. Like uh, cat, kid, all of these terms. I think nowadays first years and second years are very well versed with these terms and the preparation strategies and all of this. I think during our time, those were just too big, heavyweight terms, and we hardly knew what went behind all of this. So I think COVID, those 5 to 6 months when we did not have any classes as such, because in Jadavpur University, online classes started way later. It was a time of discovery for me. I tried coding. I tried getting into a lot of these competitions. I remember Hult Prize was one such competition where me and the other girl with whom I participated, the both of us, like on one fine day, we just decided that we haven't been into any of this elocution competitions or public speaking competitions for a very long time. So let's just make up a slide and we'll get a platform to speak to publicly speak in front of people. So we went into a B-plan competition legit for the sake of public speaking. But I think Hult Prize was that particular turning point of my life when I tried, and when I realized actually that maybe this is something that I'm good at. Maybe I'm good at pitching ideas, maybe I'm good at selling ideas, maybe I'm good at ideating things. Maybe I'm someone who's probably good at ideating something technical and then adding maybe a business aspect to it, or a commercial or a practical aspect to it, and then maybe selling it forward. So I think that particular outlook in general has helped me ever since then. And after Halt, I tried and participated in a lot of this case study competitions in a number of e-schools, B schools, won a few, lost a few. But that experience in general has, I feel helped me discover that, okay, this is that one particular domain that I want to be. Like, I still recognize myself as someone who's probably a management enthusiast, and more importantly, a problem solver. I want to, ideate new things. I want to solve problems, and I want to, look at the practical aspect of things, at the business aspects of things, at the selling aspect of things. So yeah, the COVID part, and then participating in all these competitions, and then the major, the national wins that Priyanshu already talked about in my introduction. I think all of those quite a bit helped me in, molding my profile, and in the way I look towards life, and probably what I would be doing after, I graduate out of Jadavpur University. So yeah, so I feel in college, if you're not very sure about what you want to do, and if you're just here in this department like by default, and not out of any willingness or any love for the subject, then I suggest you explore a lot of other domains. I think there can be no better way to look into this particular thing, or to discover what your inclination is, other than exploring a lot of things in college. You can be a part of a lot of clubs, you can talk with a lot of seniors, you can get into all of these competitions, and I think slowly but steadily you will try and discover that what exactly is your inclination, what exactly are you looking for, after your undergraduate. So yeah, that's it.
Another thing that I wanted to point out is do not waste time. I think because there are 140 students competing for the internships and placements, and you're going to get depressed when one guy cracks and you're not doing and you're not able to crack anything. So rather than regretting, I think you should work on yourself, because it's going to be competitive during the internships and placements. I'm telling you, if you're wasting your time, you're going to regret later.
Yeah, but at the
So I
same
think,
time, like
yeah,
Arnav, I think yeah.
don't just study. I think, yeah, that's it.
No, but one thing that I would like to say, like Arnav, as he rightly pointed out, that do not waste time, but at the same time, do not get into this particular impression that the first company is the best company. You might not get into the first one, and then you have got companies coming with a lot better packages, lot better job profiles. So even then, you should not be uh, like, let's say you get into the first company that comes on campus, and later on you start regretting that, why didn't I skip that particular company, I could have got into this one. So don't get into all of those dilemma. I think you should focus only and only on your preparation part. The rest, you can't control the sequence in which the companies will be coming on campus. You can't control who's getting into a company and who's not, because placement, as Arnav said, that you should be serious about it and you should start preparing. But at the same time, you should remember this, that placement is like a very, very unsure scenario. People with the best of skill sets, with the best of knowledge, they don't get into a lot of companies due to a lot of reasons. Some of them might be very overqualified for that particular profile. Some of them might not be having exactly what the company needs. So you might be good at a lot of things, but you might not be fitting into exactly that bracket that any company is asking for, not exactly PwC. So you shouldn't be actually be depressed or frustrated with any of these things, and you should just keep waiting. I think there's such a great lineup of companies coming to Jadavpur University these days. So you will be getting into one or the other good company, but at the same time, as Arnav said, that it's going to be very competitive. Like during our times, after second year, I think hardly 2 to 3 of us from our batch we did anything like maybe a training or internship or anything. But in your batch, like in the batch of 2024, I think half the batch has done an internship in some startup or training in some good mechanical firm or anything of that sort. So what this does is this keeps on adding to your profile, right? So when you're sitting for an internship, on campus internship in the third year with people who have already built such good profiles, you are going to be in a competitive scenario as compared to them. So that way, I feel you shouldn't be wasting time and focusing on whatever you feel needs to be done at this point in time.
And there is luck involved in the whole placement process. There is luck plays a very important role, because you might be practicing a lot of n number of numericals, and you might be very you have a very diverse profile, but on the D day you might do something that is going against. So don't feel upset. Just try to work on the things that you have under control. That's it.
Placement is 30% hard work and 70% luck,
Exactly.
and not the opposite.
Well, so we should start exploring about ourselves, and we should start working on that as early as possible, right? So with this, you have already discussed many aspects of this company and how should one prepare oneself. Now I would like to ask you that what was your experience and what precisely have you learned after working as an intern in this company? So, Ananda, would you like to go first?
Sure. So my task was actually they asked for my CV before allotting me to a project. My manager actually taped my CV and then she noticed that I was good in machine learning and I was allotted a project related to machine learning. So I was pretty comfortable with what I was doing. It was difficult, but I knew what I had to do. So yeah, that's it. I think I worked for around last 20 days. If you're working in data science field, you're going to spend 70% of the time working on data and 30% on machine learning. So I think last 20 days I worked hard. I had to work on Saturdays and Sundays also, but that's pretty normal if you're going in. These days, just forget about work-life balance. No company has work-life balance. So yeah, I think that's it. I learned, I think some advanced concepts of statistics. Yeah, I think that's it. And I learned sentiment analysis. I learned how to deploy models and Power BI stuff. And about the cultural program, my cultural side, I think this is the first time. This was my first corporate experience. So there were managers who knew nothing technical. They knew what the client wants, but they don't know whether it was possible or impossible. So I think I spent quite a lot of time convincing the manager that this is not possible to do, even though the manager didn't understand. So uh, these things are going to be a little bit different in the corporate world and the college life. So I have to be prepared. That's it. That was my experience.
Shamika, what was your experience regarding this?
See, I'll just take off from where Arnab ended. So, talking about the culture of the company, I think for any consultancy firm, one like big, uh, I think this disclaimer needs to go to all of you. Like, you need to be really thick-skinned if you're trying to get into the consultancy domain. That's it. I mean, you can't get offended at very little things being said to you, and you can't just get disappointed because you'll have to keep going. You are working in a consultancy firm, and you have got a client to whom you have got to deliver a lot of these deliverables. And if you're someone who gets really offended at very minor things being said to you by your manager, by whoever is like at a hierarchy upper to you, I think you shouldn't be going for, I don't know if you should be going for any company for that matter of fact, but not consultancy at least, because consultancy will have to be very thick skinned. Because as I started with, consultancy is one particular domain where you are like the doctor there. You have, like, we dealt with the technology part, we dealt with the data and analytics part. So we had a legit client. So we had to, perform a lot of this tasks. We had to, provide these deliverables to them within a stipulated deadline, which if not done, they would speak to us in the rudest way possible. And even from their end, like when we also didn't used to get the source files and everything from their end, even we used to, address them in like a pretty harsh manner. I remember I bashed this particular, person from the tax team in such a rude tone that, I'm waiting for 5 days and you're not sending me the source file. So just know some professionalism. Thank God he didn't know I was an intern. But anyway, so you'll need to be, very thick skinned, and you need to know how to deal with people. I think people handling is a very important skill out there, and PwC is no different when it comes to other consultancy firms in this particular matter. But yes, the work-life balance is, let's say, a little better than what they offer you in a lot of this other consultancy firms. But then again, it depends, from person to person, from project to project. I think our experience would be very different from what an FT is doing. We dealt with, let's say, 1 or 2 projects at max. An FT, a full timer, is dealing with, let's say, 4 to 5 projects. So we had team members who were having, this meeting set up, till 8 till 9 in the evening. So I feel consultants is one particular domain where you need to keep working hard if you want to, climb up the corporate ladder. But having said that, I feel that people are pretty good in PwC Kolkata at least. So it's a good firm to work with. Rather, let me reframe the thing that it's a good firm to please start your career with. It's definitely good. And talking about what my work was, so same, I had also submitted my CV to my people manager, like, and also to my project manager. All of this terms you'll understand later on once you get recruited in PwC. And that person had gone through my entire profile, and he had said that why don't you try something, in the analytics domain. So my client was Talking about my previous experience, like Arnab said, it was his first stint in corporate. It wasn't so for me. So I'd worked with a few places before this, and thankfully, my experience in PwC was so good. Like I really recommend PwC as a company to all my juniors because I think it's a great place to learn, a lot of new stuff if you're new to this corporate world. So my experience has been pretty good. I've learned a lot of things. It was at least way better than the startup experiences that I'd had previously that had made me feel like I should be leaving this corporate world and I'm not fit for this. So PwC was a much better experience. And talking about the work that I had to do, so my client, as I said, was a BFSI giant, so I had to prepare this data pipelines and all for them. So I had actually, it was pretty seam for me, as Arnav just talked about, that I had to go through a number of platforms myself. So I studied about RStudio, RapidMiner, Alteryx, Tableau Server, Qlik Sense, DataIQ DSS, Orange, ACP Analytics Cloud, and all of these analytics platforms that you have out there. So I studied all of this, and I studied what exactly are their pros and cons, including the cost that would be needed for each of this platform. Because if you're choosing a particular platform and if you're asking the company to download that platform on your device for you, the company would have to pay an annual fee, right? So you'll have to choose the best platform with the best of opportunities, with the best of tools given to you at the minimum cost possible. So I had to do my bit of research before that, and after the I chose my platform, like I chose Alteryx for my particular project. I had to prepare all this deliverables that I had to give to my client, and my 2 months of experience was pretty much about dealing with the source files, preparing all this data pipelines and delivering them to the client, like automatizing and delivering those to my client. But a very good learning for all of you is that a lot of you might be having that myth that PwC is all about coding, competitive coding for that matter of fact. So as I and Ono rightly pointed out this to you guys, that if you are in the ML or data science domain, you can have a project related to that. But if you are someone who doesn't have anything in your CV related to any of this, you can still learn up new softwares, and you can just explore a lot of this analytics platforms during the 2 months of your tenure there at PwC, and you can use those and perform your projects. So you don't really need a lot of this prerequisites coming to this particular area.
Okay, so it was quite insightful hearing from you about your experience. Now coming to the latter part, that a very less number of people from our department gets internship every year, and whenever it comes to the final year of our academic year, then many of us gets you know uh, crazy about the placement and all. So. What is the procedure of getting PPO after a completion of internship? That those who gets internship are surely is going to get PPO at that company, or is it something else?
So for some people, there's going to be an exit interview type. So there's going to be the partner of the firm. Now, partner is not something your buddy or the partner in these firms is generally partner has equal share in the company. So just for your understanding, I'm saying the partner after sufficient experience he becomes CFO or CEO. Just for your example, but that's not the case.
Let's say
So
the
you have
top
to
of
present.
that particular
Yeah,
company, right?
exactly. It's top, not partner in the sense. Don't take the literal meaning of partner. That's what I mean. So the partner is going to have an interview with you and he's going to check if what you have done is helpful to the company and if you've done that yourself. So they're going to ask what you have done, and you're going to have to give a presentation and going to grill you on that presentation. So the partner knows everything. So there are multiple partners in India. I think there are 600 or 700 partners, and each of them have experience in almost every field of PW or every field of consulting. So they know stuff, and so they would know that if you have done anything inefficient or maybe just for the sake of doing an internship, so they would actually know that. So they wanted. So actually, my round was taken by 8 people. It was supposed to be taken by 2 people. But 8 people were present in the room, and the partner said to all those people to keep asking me questions, and I was thankfully able to handle all of those questions, although some of them were not in my domain. But so that I think 30% of the PPO conversion rate depends on the work that you do, and 70% of the chances depends on the partner. The partner has no problem with giving PPO to you, you will get the PPO. So yeah, that's it. That's the PPO part.
Well, thanks for your insights. And Shanita, would you like to add something in this regard?
Yeah, so mine was also pretty similar, except for the fact that I did not have to give a presentation, that too in front of 8 people. So mine was an exit interview that was conducted. There were 3 people. I had my immediate project manager, my people manager, and someone and the partner of my office in that particular meeting. So it was pretty similar to what Arnab just said, that they're just going to grill you on whatever you have done. They're just going to check your basics, check whatever you have done for the last 2 months was something concrete or not, and whether you have done that on your own or not. So if you can justify whatever you have done, and if you can just prove the fact that you're someone who's going to add some value to the company, I think the PPO part is going to be a cake for you guys. I think the PPO part, more than the exit interview, I think a lot of it depends on what your impression is. What impression you are putting on the immediate people manager or your project manager. Like if that person is convinced that the kind of work that you have done is valuable, has been valuable to the firm for the last 2 months, and if you join as a full-timer you would be able to add value to the company, I think the people manager or your project manager is going to do half of the pitch on your behalf in front of the partner. So I would just say that for not just for PwC but for any company, just strike a good relationship, a good rapport with your immediate people manager or your project manager. And if that person feels that you are someone who should come back to the company as a full timer, I don't think you'll have any problem with getting a PPO from the firm. That's it.
I think we have discussed all the important parts of getting into the company. What should be the preparation strategy and all. So I would like to ask you that what are the parts of getting into this job, or how likely would you recommend your junior to get into this company?
Perks, money being one of them, you get paid. Yeah, so yeah, you get money, and you also get this PPO thing if you work well. Like I think the best part about getting an internship is, like, for me and Arnab, like we were the first interns, so that itself just took off a lot of pressure from our heads. Like we don't have to bother about the other companies, whatever was coming on campus. And I think whatever company is coming to campus in your third year, it's very important to crack those, simply because if you're getting into an internship now, like first of all, for the rest of third year, you're just you can just be with a very free head and free mind, that you don't have to bother about a lot of things. And not just for your third year, for your fourth year also. Like after your third year is over, if you perform well in that particular firm for 2 months, your PPO is almost confirmed as well. And even in your fourth year, after your fourth year also, you can get back to the firm as a full timer. So yeah, money, PPO, good culture. I would definitely recommend the culture of PwC to all my juniors. It's such a great place to work, and you've got really good people over there who actually what we call in Bengali hate dhore kaj shekan. They actually do that over there in PwC. So yeah, that's it.
Would you like to add anything out of that?
No, I think SAGNIK has said everything.
HR perks, we aren't really talking about those because I think that's common to all of these firms nowadays. So we don't really need to discuss those. So it's pretty much common. Just if you have to point out something in particular, I think the culture is really good. That's it.
Uh, Thanks for informing in this regard. Now I would like to ask to the audience if you guys have any question. If you guys have any question, then you can unmute yourself and ask, or else you can put it in the chat box. So we can address those. Priyanshu, can you please look into the chat box if
Yes, of course, of course. Kingshuk has already asked a questions regarding the FT selection procedure. So, Kingshuk, are you here with us?
It's not GET, the profile. They don't really call you that. So you just get recruited as an associate there at PwC. So yeah, so the process is very similar. Just for the FT selection, like the aptitude round remains pretty much the same. And after the aptitude round, you have the first round of interview that both me and Onok talked about. That round remains pretty much the same. And believe me or not, that's your prime interview round. If you just get through that round, the next 2 rounds they don't really uh, they aren't much of a hurdle or a barrier in your way, in getting into PwC. So after that primary interview round, the second round that is there for FT selection is your partner round. So partner round, I think Arnav has already talked about who exactly a partner is. So this partners, they come for the recruitment process as well, and usually, they interact with a number of students at one go in the partner round. Usually in the offline rounds, like years ago when we used to have the offline recruitment process, it used to be 2 or 3 people talking with the partner for a particular time. But last year, I feel because there were a number of applicants and there were so many people who were shortlisted after the aptitude and the first round of interview, the number was a little bit higher. I think 6 to 7 people were put into one group with the partner, and they had to discuss, a few things, and they had to answer a few questions that were put forward by the partner in front of them. So it's just a basic grilling session by the partner, but he isn't really going to grill you on your CV and stuff, because CV defending has already taken place in the last round. So it's more of your personality testing. How fit are you for the firm? Whether you would be a good addition to the firm or not. So these people, they have been there in this domain for so many years, and they exactly know how exactly to grill you and understand whether you would be a good fit or a misfit for the firm. So that's all about the partner round. And the third round is the HR round. So as I said, the first round of interview, if you just get through that, the next 2 rounds are mere formalities.
HR
And
round is like formality for any company.
yeah, but having said that, I know 2 people who did not make it through the HR round in CS, so don't take it that lightly. But if you are just thorough with some basic behavioral questions, I think that's going to help you. Like some very basic behavioral questions: Are you open to relocating to some other location for the sake of your job, for the sake of the company? Let's say you have spotted a particular error in your work, and the deadline is today. So if you can submit the work today, like having 1% defect in the particular thing, or you can submit it after 2 days, but it's post your deadline. So what would you do? So a lot of you would be saying that, okay, 1% defect, so it hardly affects anyone. But no, the correct answer should be like, I'm going to submit the 100% correct work or the accurate work from my end. No matter if the deadline is supposed to be extended, I'll talk to the client and I'll request him or her to extend the deadline. So this basic behavioral questions, they just test how fit you are to be, in a client facing firm and stuff like that. So if you, are able to answer those questions strictly to the HR, so you'll just get through the HR round as well.
Can we take up the next question?
Yeah.
Okay. So the next question is asked by Shomoti Bhattacharjee. He has asked regarding the aptitude questions. Out of 45, how many questions we need to solve?
I think he means what is the cutoff. The thing is, cutoff
Yes.
varies. The cutoff varies year to year. It depends on the number of applicants for the company. So if they have a hiring goal, so every firm has a hiring goal that they want to select these number of people approximately from these colleges. So it depends on the company. It changes from year to year. But if you want me to say how many questions you have to solve all of them. If you solve all of them, then I have nothing to worry. But always target that you have to solve all of them. But the cutoff, it's impossible to say. You have to be in the top 6, top 5, or even for FTs, it was like top 30s or top 40s last. So that's
I think if I have to, take a particular number in terms of number wise, I think 38 to 40 out of 45 would be a good score to be in the, the creamy layer for the selection process. But having said that, I think I've already addressed this to some of my juniors already, that there's a particular trick or a particular catch over here. So they, claim that they are selecting you or they're shortlisting you on the basis of your aptitude, but you never know on what basis they're actually selecting you, because before the aptitude round takes place, while they're actually, selecting or they're collecting this data of the number of students or the students who are willing to apply, they already take your CV. So you never really know whether they are shortlisting you on the basis of your aptitude or the basis of your CV. Every year this happens, that the number of people, let's say 6 people from the department are getting shortlisted from the next round. It's always a good mix of people who have CVs fit for the institute, for the particular firm, and some people who have maybe performed exceptionally well in the aptitude, or maybe people who have done both, have given very good apties and have got fantastic profiles that are fit for the company. So I would say it's very important. Like you might be messing up the apti very badly on D day, but you might be having a very good profile that suits the particular firm, and they might be shortlisting on the basis of that as well. So no company is actually going to reveal this to you, that on what basis you have been hired, what's been the cutoff, whether your CV was very attractive to them, or whether your particular result in the aptitude round was preferable to them, or whatever it is. So no company is actually going to reveal this to you. My advice to you all would be, have a good mixture of both and be prepared from both the ends, so that you don't have to regret anything later on. That's it.
Next, we have a similar question from Shopnil Mahapatra and Mainak Dey regarding the time when when PwC offers internships in a year. And after that, Mainak Dey has also asked regarding the other companies which offer internships in mechanical background.
I think August, August from
I
August.
remember the date, 27th day, August was the day on which the PwC that it's coming to Jadavpur
Yeah,
University
and
was
7th
announced.
September was the Haptic.
7th was the aptitude, and we got the results that we are selected on 10th September. So you can expect that by first to second week of September, PwC is going to wind up, and all that we know is it's already hiring in IST Shippur this year. So as soon as it gets done with the Shippur thing, I think within the next week or so, you guys are also going to get the intimation that PwC is coming to campus for hiring interns and FTs. So be prepared because it's done with the NIT Durgapur thing, and it's almost done with the Shippur one as well. So next is other all the best.
I think I misinterpreted the question of Swapnil Mahapatra. He has asked the duration of the test which took place.
It's 1 hour. It's 45 questions, 1 hour.
And the last question is asked by Broti Sarkar. He has asked regarding the India books, whether it is enough for the aptitude examinations.
It's not India bricks, British. It's India bricks. Firstly, so and secondly, it's enough. I mean, see, it depends. See, you can't really tell what platform would suit someone the best. So we already talked about this thing that if you're doing some basics of, let's say from the Arun Sharma book, and if you're doing India Bix would be a good platform, but as I already pointed this out, that India Bix has a very generic set of questions which doesn't cater in particular to any company. So India Bix would be a more of a generalized kind of preparation, but if you're talking about targeting a particular firm in general, I don't think that would be a very good strategy. I think first thing is finding out the platform on which that particular firm is trying to conduct that year's aptitude examination for that firm. So find out the kind of questions that you might be getting in that particular platform. So that is the first thing that you need to do. And secondly, Arun Sharma book is always the first and the last thing that you should be going for. That's like if you're doing the Arun Sharma book very earnestly, I don't think you need a lot of other resources for the aptitude round. Moinak has talked about what companies, and except for PwC, what are the other companies offer internships in mechanical. So Moinak, if you're talking about core mechanical engineering, the core profiles being offered for the internship, I think last year we had Tata Metallics, we had Pidilite, we had ITC, we had Cairn, and a number of other such companies. And if you're talking specifically about the consultancy domain, for interns at least, you have only PwC coming to campus to hire from the mechanical engineering branch.
Next question is from Shaunindu Chakraborty. He has asked regarding the CGPA and whether the CGPA matters in the aftermath of the selection procedure.
Yeah, of course, matters because if you don't cross the cutoff, you're not going to get selected.
Aftermath of the selection process, I mean, after he gets selected, like when he's in the firm, that thing.
Shaunindu,
If-
may you unmute yourself and ask the question?
I was just asking that there must be a cutoff CGPA, right? And let's say I have cleared the cutoff CGPA, and one has cleared it way above. I mean, one is in the rankings, so he will obviously be, I mean, more
Shonendu,
prone
it's
to.
again that same thing, that same mix, like who's got the best combination of everything, who's got a good score in the apti round, who's got a good CV, a good profile, and as well as who's got a good, CGP as well. So like it all depends on what combination they are looking for in that particular round. If you're talking about a particular cutoff CGPA that's talked about from the like university end or what's given to us, it's 7.5. I mean, people who have a CGPA of 7.5 or above are allowed to sit for the firm. But you never know what is the cutoff CGPA from their end, right? What kind of a CGPA or what kind of a profile are they preferring? But on the safe side, to be on the safe side, I would request you all to maintain a decent CGPA. I think 8.5 or above CGPA is decent enough to sit for a firm like PwC. Because when me or Arnab in our first year, when we entered the campus, I remember a lot of seniors telling us how CGPA is not that important for consultancy firms and stuff like that. But after having experienced this recruitment process and everything, I can surely tell you that CGPA is undoubtedly important. And very surprisingly, for the last 1 or 2 years, people with very good CGPAs have been recruited by PwC. I don't know if it's been something that they are preferring these days or not, whether they prefer people with pretty good CGPA or not, but it's something that's been happening for the last 1 or 2 years, let's say. So it's always, to be on the safe side, I would request you all to maintain a good CGPA. That's it.
I think there are no more questions left in the chat box. Everything has been answered. One more question we have from Moinakde. What were the particular activities you have done to reflect on your CV? I think he.
So I think I had a focus. I had a few projects of mechanical. I mentioned the IOCL training, but that didn't matter. I what mattered was I did this machine learning thing, as I'm repeatedly saying. I did some projects on machine learning and mechanical mix. So I think my whole interview was based on that project only. So that was the primary thing that mattered in my CV, and I also mentioned the clubs and all I'm involved with, and some of the competitions that I participated.
Pretty much the same for me. My CV was a good mixture of everything, like everything that I had done in the core domain as well as in the non-core domain before PwC came to campus. So I had a good mention of all my, academic projects as a part of the mechanical, engineering curriculum. Like not exactly the curriculum. You don't usually have projects in the first or second year. You go and approach professors or maybe someone from outside the university and you get involved in projects. So I had mentioned all of those. I had mentioned my work, what I had done as a pro bono consultant at IC Kolkata. I had talked about my internship at data system, what I had done in the marketing division over there, and everything. I feel it was a good mixture of all my projects, all my positions of responsibility that I had held for the last 2 years, all the achievements that I had reflected on them pretty well, like what ranks I had in all those national competitions, and all these case studies, B plans, and all of that sort. So I think yeah, that all this achievements, projects, experience, and your skill sets, your skills and languages that you're proficient in, all of that. I feel that would make for a good CV for you.
We have another question from Aditi Dasgupta. She wants you to explain regarding the pre-placement offer once again.
So Aditi, the PPO method, it depends. For ARNAB, he had to give a presentation. For me, I did not really have to give a presentation. I had to just uh, take up a few questions that were addressed to me in that particular meeting. So the usual procedure is that you are put forward in front of people from the firm, usually your reporting manager, your project manager, the partner of the firm, and they ask you a few questions to grill you, to know about what exactly you have done for the last 2 months, to know whether you have done something concrete, because a lot of these interns, what they do is they do have a lot of laid back attitude and they just are there in the firm for 2 months and they hardly contact anybody, they hardly take up any responsibility. So another important point over here is that you need to have take up responsibility on your own. You'll have to have a sense of authority for the 2 months or 3 months that you're being a part of the firm. So if you just like for me, I had dealt with the client all on my own. I used to set up meetings with the client on my own, being an intern, which I'm not supposed to do. Like most of these firms, they'll not allow you interns to interact directly with the client. They'll ask some full timers to do that on your behalf. But whatever I needed from the client or whatever I had to deliver to the client, I used to send mails on my own. I used to talk to them and understand their requirements on my own. So the interview process or the presentation process is more like a system of understanding whether whatever you have done actually boils down to something effective or something substantial for the firm in the last 2 months, and whether you have done that with all your dedication and devotion or not. So if you're being able to justify whatever activities you have been a part of for the last 2 months, I think your PPO is almost confirmed. But then again, there are a few thin lines on the basis of which this recruitment and hiring takes place. So yeah.
Last question we have from Asif Ali, and he wants to ask you whether what are the non-core companies that come to our college other than the consultancy ones for internship.
So the many, not for internship, I'm not aware. I think Samsung Research was one such company that I'm aware of. I remember actually, and even I think there were many companies, many coding profiles that came to our college for internship.
So it's
For,
mostly like a different domain altogether. It's
yes,
either consultancy in the non-code or it's coding like the ST and SWE profiles in the non-code. You don't really have anything else coming to campus. So for ST and SWD, SWU do have a lot of options over there. For the consultancy domain, for the internship at least, you have only one option, that's PwC.
I think there are no more questions left in the chat box. Does anyone have any questions regarding today's session? Then you may ask. I think no one has questions left with me. So I would like to. Asif Ali wants you to name some companies regarding the SD ones, which offer internships.
Samsung being one of them. I'm not sure about the others. There were quite a few I remember, but then again, I guess you all know about the screening test. So a few of you will be getting, after the screening test, you'll be getting selected to sit for those SD and SWE roles. Like not everyone will be allowed to sit for the SD and SWE roles, other than the ones belonging to the CAC and IT, departments. So I feel those companies are revealed only to them, like whether they're willing to sit or not. So, but I think I remember Samsung was one such company that had taken, people from other departments also for this role. And Amazon, they allow you to sit, but as far as the recruitment is concerned, I don't think they had recruited someone from our department last year. So yeah, there are a number of companies. I mean, there's no doubt of SWE and SDE roles from companies in the campus.
There are many companies, but we remember one. That's it. I think there were many companies, startups majorly.
Yeah, I think that's again a major call for you guys, whether you want to be a part of a startup or not, like as an intern.
Thank you, Arnab and Shadminta, for your answers and cooperation. Now I would like to hand over the microphone to Shelly again.
Yeah, so I don't think there are any questions left for today's session. I think this was quite explanatory and elaborative. So slowly we are coming to the end of the session. Today we have discussed so many things. We have discussed the outlines of any consultancy sectors like PwC, ZS also. Categorically, we did discuss the preparation strategy, then the recruitment procedure, and also an overview of the parts